Wes Goldberg, a lot to get to today, but I just have to ask you for a cold open question. What was your reaction to Michael Jordan being hired by NBC to be part of their NBA coverage when the NBC has NBA games next season? This kind of came out of nowhere. What was your initial reaction to it?
Two things. Immediately, first reaction was, "Oh, cool." Second reaction was, "Can't wait to hear him talk about how much worse everything is than he was."
Yeah, he's going to be NBC's hater in chief, I'm pretty sure, and also sort of based on his ownership tenure at the head of the Charlotte Hornets. Probably, I'm guessing, like not in the weeds in the way that the best former player analysts are. That's just a guess, but that doesn't seem like what Michael Jordan is gonna want to do, and he hasn't ever
Yeah.
done this before either.
Yeah, if you had a problem with Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal not necessarily knowing, like, the 11th guy on certain rosters, buckle up. Like,
Yeah,
Michael Jordan probably knows 20 NBA players? Like, I don't know, like, I don't know. I legitimately don't know.
how many current Hornets do you think you can name?
Um, not many. I don't know,
LaMelo and
man. It's
Brandon Miller.
cool. I
I
like
think that
look, special contributor, what does that even mean? I can't imagine that he's
right.
gonna be the anchor on a panel, feeding into a Saturday night game. That doesn't strike me as
Yeah.
something Michael Jordan wants to do. Are they gonna zoom into him smoking a cigar and sipping on a tequila in his mansion? Perhaps. Would I be into it? 100%. Um,
Yeah.
we'll see. I don't know. Is he going to be like the killer instinct beat reporter for them? This guy has it. This guy doesn't. Uh, I there's good there could be creative ways to use Michael Jordan. I think NBC has been kind of hitting batting 1,000 on all these moves that have been
Yes.
announced, at least, and like the theory of most of them. This one is the most interesting, but yeah, I think this more than anything is, hey, now we have to compete with ESPN, who's getting inside the NBA. We're competing with Amazon, who built an awesome crew, also, but we have Michael Jordan, and it strikes me a little bit of how Fox just hired Tom Brady to be their number one guy. I don't think Jordan's going to have those kind of responsibilities, but it's the name. It's, hey, we've got the goat. You don't deal with it.
Even if the value is him like commenting on the end of LeBron's career in a way no one else can, I think I'm actually kind of
Mm.
into it now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, every time he says anything, you're gonna pay attention. At least
Yes.
at the start of this thing.
Yes, 100%. We'll see where it goes. Fascinating move by NBC, but a lot more fascinating stuff in the NBA. Dallas Mavericks won the lottery. Giannis's future is seemingly open, and the Cavs are absolutely crashing out. All on today's Just Basketball show. Let's go. What is up, everyone? Chris Manning, Wes Goldberg here on the Just Basketball Show. If you haven't already, please subscribe, rate, review on your podcast platform of choice. Hit that notification bell if you have not already. And Wes, we are powered as always by our friends at BetMGM.
If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code JustBasketball. You'll get up to $1,500 on a first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android. Sign up using the code JustBasketball. Deposit at least $10. Place your first wager on any game, and you'll get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. Just make sure to use the bonus code JustBasketball when you sign up. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 or older to wager. Terms and conditions apply.
Wes, we have to start with the draft lottery. Just again, here's the top five of the draft: Dallas, San Antonio, Philly, Charlotte, Utah. That is our top five. The takeaway is that the Dallas Mavericks are getting Cooper Flagg. They traded away Luka Doncic in still an inexplicable trade, and they had 1.8% chance, a 1.8% chance, Wes, to go get the number one pick, and that is what happened here. It's a top five all time jump as far as the odds go. It is highly unexpected, but this particular team with their last year, dating back to the finals and all of last year in the Luka trade, everything. to then kind of falling ass backward into getting Cooper Flagg is like this is unbelievable for them. And I think it also like if you just do the obvious thing, you take Cooper Flagg and you move forward with him, it's like you probably can help heal the fan base a little bit in a way you couldn't have in any other circumstance. This is a generational win, it feels like, from like a PR standpoint, much less the basketball player point for the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, what'd you say? 1.8% odds to jump up to
One
number
point,
one.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
even if we go back a few weeks, it's the odds are even slimmer because they had to win a coin flip with the Chicago Bulls for the 11th spot. The Bulls end up at 12 because they lost the coin flip, and they just stay at 12. While obviously Dallas vaults all the way up from 11 to number one. In terms of the PR thing, Dallas hoops in general, Luka Doncic out, Paige Beckers and Cooper Flagg in. I don't know if that's a net
huge win.
win, but it's about as
I
good as
think
it
it.
gets.
I think it is a net win. Like I kind of think it is because you have like you have two players that if you're and they're not owned by the same group. We should note that, but if those two organizations like handle this correctly, you have players that will be like faces of the league for the next 10 to like 15 years theoretically. You
I
have like
guess. I
two
mean, it's
generational talent. Like I know it's Luca, but it's like you also got two players, Wes, that like in a lot of ways, I think of how we understand Cooper Flagg is that he's like the opposite of Luca, and I think that's kind of what Dallas like
yeah.
wanted, you know.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
mean,
like Paige
look,
Beckers is like a uber star.
you lose Slovenia in the ratings, but
You
you
get
gain
Vermont and you get Minnesota, you know.
right, which I'm not an expert on populations. I don't know what the difference is, but
Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah,
it's Luca is a superstar among superstars, just an absolutely generational player, and we know that. Cooper Flagg is a generational prospect. Paige Beckers is the number one prospect. N- Paige Beckers isn't Caitlin Clark. Cooper Flagg isn't Luca. It feels like they're a notch below what that is, and their star power, I don't know, can carry a market. But hey, I'm not going to poo poo on Dallas right now. I don't think that the Mavericks organization deserves this. I'll poo poo on the
they don't,
organization.
they
The
don't.
fact that Nico Harrison got away with it has to be so frustrating. But at the same time, I am legitimately happy for Dallas fans because they got the rug pulled out from underneath them on a Saturday night in February and have been reeling for a couple of months here in a way that they did not deserve. And now they've got Cooper Flagg there. And they're going to take Cooper Flagg with the number one pick. He's the perfect guy for that roster that they've built. And Chris, you and I do the hot take thing here
Yeah,
every once in a while where we kind of prepare some hot
yeah,
takes and then deliver them to each other. If we were doing the hot take thing today, and if I was
hmm
feeling particularly saucy on this Monday evening,
oh, oh,
I might go so far as to say Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis, and Cooper Flagg is a better spot to be in for Dallas than Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. I won't go that far. I'm making it clear. I will not go that far because I don't believe that to be
particularly, particularly because of I think the Kyrie ACL tear throws a wrench into that
and the fact that
enough.
these guys are Luka Doncic, right? And that Kyrie is 30
Right.
years old, Anthony Davis is 30 something years old, and Cooper Flagg is 18 years old. Like the timelines don't add up. It doesn't exactly work. They won't to predict that this team makes an NBA finals in the next 2 or 3 years would be a bold prediction. Whereas if you predicted Luka and Kyrie and that Mavericks team to return to the NBA finals, that doesn't sound like a bold prediction on its face. But um, it's a fascinating argument to wonder whether or not Nico Harrison came out winning on this somehow. And if Dallas is better positioned now than they were prior to the Luca trade, because this is all assuming that had they kept Luca, they would have made the playoffs and not had an opportunity to get this pick.
Yeah, I mean, the other part that was interesting was I can't remember who the person was on television representing them there, Wes, but that was the first person from the Dallas organization that has acknowledged that the last year has been like rough for them, and
Mm.
obviously it's self-inflicted. But it was like the first time I think I'd heard someone from Dallas publicly acknowledge how chaotic the last year has been, and this does feel like something of a reset to the point of the fan base. It's like no Dallas fan, even if they were booing Nico Harrison and are on Twitter arguing for him to get fired, all of that, they are going to. You cannot tell me that like that fan base is not going to like be absolutely amped by the right now by the fact that they get Cooper Flag. That like Cooper Flag, his debut, getting his jersey, watching him in summer league. Like this is like in a way that like Anthony Davis can't get you excited in the same way, or like Derek Lively having a better year and being healthy next year, or like Kyrie coming back from ACL. This is like the perfect band-aid that actually heals the wound on your arm, if that's such things. This is as close you can get as to like the blanket actual like reset on a vibe for an organization. I cannot think of like anything that is comparable to this, frankly. Like obviously there's not a comparable trade. To me, it makes sense that there's not a comparable luck out situation where you get a guy that you can build with and everyone loves in this process fits seemingly what I think the characteristics of what they didn't love about Luca. And you have to win now, obviously, but like you have now like a little bit more grace than I think you would have if you didn't get lucky. If they had ended up picking 11th and they're taking Jace Richardson or Azanuel or like anyone else in that range, the fans aren't going to care. Like that prospect's in the tough spot. Cooper Flag is like a hope in a way that you cannot get from any other guy. And it's a generational luck out
I would
from the
argue
Dallas
that
Mavericks here.
I yes, and I would go one step further. I would argue that even if they ended up with the second, third, or fourth pick, it wouldn't feel this way,
Yeah,
right? Even a Dylan
yeah,
Harper, Ace Bailey, VJ Edgecombe, guys who we all think of as really high level prospects, they're not Cooper Flag. Cooper Flag is, I mean, you talk to people, they're like, yep, it's Victor Wembanyama, clearly the best prospect of the last 10 years. Cooper Flag is number two. People would put
yeah.
Cooper Flag above Zion, above John Morant, above some of these guys who came into the league with different questions. The thing with the Cooper Flag is there are no questions. Maybe the only question is, can this guy be a top five player in the NBA? That's a question for everybody. But there are seemingly no holes in his game, and people just they talk about his competitiveness. You go back to um, Team USA Select and what he was doing with the NBA players on the court against an Olympic team, a Team USA team that went ahead and won a gold medal, and those guys were even talking him up at that point. So you know, this is the Luka Doncic trade was so bad that this is the only thing that can come close to almost starting to become that band-aid that you were talking about, Chris.
All right, other winners here. I'll shout them
Yes.
out, and then some losers. You can tell me who you want to talk about. San Antonio, a winner, jumping spots up to two. Philly, obviously a huge, huge
Big
winner,
winner.
jumping up to three. Big, big
Keep their
winner.
pick because of it.
Loser,
Because it as long as it
keep
fell
their
in the
pick.
top 6, they were gonna keep it. Yep.
Also, didn't have Nick Nurse having an I don't I don't know Nick Nurse obviously like I don't know his style. Him having like an iced out cross with like the suit was not a look I was expecting of Nick Nurse. I guess I just didn't know his game that way. It was just like Nick Nurse, iced out chain guy. Okay, iced out cross printed guy. Losers, I would say it's obviously Charlotte, it's obviously Utah, it's obviously Washington, and I think Brooklyn also dropping down to eight in New Orleans. Like I think all those teams really 4 through 8 are losers to various degrees. And I would say Houston, a loser as well. Houston, 10th pick isn't like a bad asset for them. In the summer, we expect to make a trade, but it did drop a spot. Like, does that impact things slightly in what they're going to do? Who do you want to talk about? Who among like this initial lottery order intrigues you here, Wes?
Well, before we get to that, if we're doing winners and losers, the biggest loser is tanking. That's
Yeah,
the loser.
yeah.
I mean,
Adam Silver, winner.
you had a systematic tanking from Utah, from Washington, from Toronto to a different degree, but still from Brooklyn, certainly, even though they didn't execute that well. None of these teams that wanted Cooper Flag are going to get anywhere close to Cooper Flag. None of them are drafting Cooper Flag.
No,
Washington is going to end up with another, Bilal Coulibaly, Bub Carrington type players that we like. Nobody that could lead that franchise going forward. Utah, same thing for them. If any tanking team won out, it was Philadelphia, but they weren't planning on being here. And they
yeah,
kind of did the tanking at the end of the year by shutting down Embiid and Paul George. So yeah, tanking just didn't work. And instead, you got a team that, frankly, a front office that doesn't deserve it, moving up in Dallas. San Antonio, I suppose, has a little bit of good karma. I don't know that they deserve it because they just got Victor Wembanyama. So the fact that they get the second pick in a uh, highly thought of draft is a little ridiculous. I was not rooting for Cooper Flagg in San Antonio. I'm glad it's not happening. They get one of these
Yeah.
guys, I guess it's fine, but like you've already got Wemby, you've already got De'Aaron Fox, you've already got Stephon Castle. How many more things do you need? It's kind of annoying to me, but whatever. It is what it is. So yeah, loser tanking, winner to your point, Adam Silver. I guess winner Texas, winner no state income tax,
Yeah.
winners are the script writers, the script believers. I guess winners
Yeah.
for them. There's a lot of winners here, but we could talk about the San Antonio piece of this, even if I am not thrilled about it. Um, it is still
Well,
very
I think
interesting.
that I think they're more interesting as a debate than Philly, 'cause I just kind of expect Philly to probably trade this pick for something. The question is like, what do you trade it for? But this just feels like a pick they're going to shop and try to do something more immediate. We'll see where that breaks out. I think it's to be determined. But I think San Antonio has an interesting position here because number one, I could see a world where they just say we're Wemby is still year three, Castle's year two. Yes, Fox is like more in his prime, but like how fast do we want to hit the gas here? Do we want to draft someone younger to theoretically extend the window? I think that's a fair. If they love Dylan Harper, if they love Ace Bailey, Edgecombe, whomever, just take that guy and you maybe spend on place got veterans to kind of raise your floor a little bit now and hope that guy develops. On the other hand, are you calling with 2 and 14 around the league for something? Are you poking around to see like what 214 in salary can get you to go get another piece? And how aggressive are you in that? Like, is Castle on the table for anyone? Are you calling 214 Castle for Giannis and saying Fox, Giannis, Wemby? That's
That's where
our
we have to go
move.
with this.
Like,
If
okay,
you're the Bucks,
and yeah,
that's why this draft lottery was so important. And I thought the timing of the Shams piece that came out Monday morning was so interesting. The day of the draft lottery, and obviously in Shams's
yeah,
piece, he was talking about at the lottery. This is the conversation. It was the conversation because people are wondering whoever gets one of these top four picks suddenly has one huge asset to dangle in a potential Giannis trade. And San Antonio had been a spot that people were talking about potentially for Giannis for a while now. And I don't know how likely it is. I don't know if Giannis is into playing in San Antonio or whatever. But now that San Antonio has the number two pick, and if you're the Bucks and you're saying, well, we don't have our own draft pick for the next several years, we don't control our draft, but we can get the number two pick in a highly thought of draft here to jumpstart our rebuild. This is really interesting. And you look at the teams here, like if you're, do we want to do the Giannis part of this now? I guess we're here, but
no,
it,
I think this is the natural flow of the conversation. Like,
okay.
I think we have to like there.
Before I get to the
Frankly,
San
like the
Antonio
draft
thing,
lottery, it's like yeah, please
if you're Dallas, would you trade the number one pick for Giannis?
no.
I don't think I would either. But given the ages of Kyrie and Anthony Davis, doesn't Giannis fit that more?
I think it makes it more likely Anthony Davis is traded this summer, would be my guess. Like in a shock move, or like Kyrie is like just
And you
doesn't
just reboot
like. I think that,
around Cooper
yeah,
Flag?
I
Okay.
think this makes yeah. I think that I don't. I would guess they try to like just move forward with like a Kyrie Cooper AD start, but at some point this becomes Cooper Flagg's team, and at some point I think like AD just like maybe he's like yeah, like I want to contend for a title and we're not there yet or something.
So then if you're San Antonio now, you're talking they're on the clock. Cooper Flag's in Dallas. They're looking at one of the Rutgers guys or Edgecombe or flipping number two and some salary. The thing with this is now maybe you don't even have to include Stephon Castle. Maybe you still do. Maybe because it's just Giannis and he's Giannis, and
He and
and the Bucks
he
say no, we want both things.
I mean he's the thing with the Bucks is that they're so star for talent that I wonder if you could get away with it. I think the challenge is if Houston comes in and offers everything and then some, it's like okay, then Castle's like a differentiator. I think the question then becomes like, how do you rank Castle versus the Houston guys you might get? Like, would you rather have Castle or Jalen Green? Would you rather have Castle or Jabari Smith? Like,
Or the number two pick, right? Like
right,
Houston, to your point, Houston doesn't move up. They end up with 10. My guess is you'd rather have the number two pick than anything that Houston has outside
yeah,
of Amen Thompson.
yeah. Which you're not getting. And I think if I'm in Thompson's off the table, I think San Antonio might be able to do this without trading Castle. And if I'm Ben, Castle is the last thing I'm putting in that trade. Like if it has to get done and you feel like it's the right move, then yes, you do it. But if I'm going forward, the four guys that like really matter, it's like I want the Fox Castle backcourt, and I want the Giannis Wembanyama front court, and then we find a three.
On the other same, on the other hand, if you're San Antonio, you could say, well, we already got our guy in Victor Wembanyama. We don't really want Giannis getting in his way. We've got De'Aaron Fox. That was sort of our big move. We have Castle, who we feel really good about, rookie of the year, all these things. We can go out and get one of these wings. We can go out and get Bailey, Harper, Edgecombe, whatever. All of these guys fit with what we're building. They all fit. And so we just draft one of these guys and move forward. That to me feels like the more Spursy thing to do.
Yes.
But then again, a player like Giannis makes you do things that are uncharacteristic. So
Do you like the Giannis Wembanyama fit? Because I
no,
do. I do.
I don't. Okay, do I like it out of a basketball sense? Yes. Defensively, it's terrifying.
Good luck.
It's
Good
Tim
luck
Rob.
scoring on them. Yeah.
It's Tim Duncan and David Robinson 2.0.
Yeah.
From a fan's perspective, no, please don't do it. That's Wemby's team. Let him have it. Giannis is an awesome player, but if Giannis, the difference between a guy like Giannis or even Kevin Durant is so moldable, and it just feels like he could exist on San Antonio, and that's why I don't hate that fit in terms of the trade rumors. With
Mm.
Giannis, it becomes Giannis's team right away. Maybe not to San Antonio Spurs fans, but from a execution standpoint, the ball's going to be in Giannis's hands, and you're expediting things pretty quickly. And again, I don't know that Giannis has any interest in being in San Antonio. That's the part that I want to put a pin in terms of trying to figure out what Giannis wants. But I want to keep going in the draft lottery because then we have number 3 here. If you're Philly, Paul George in the number 3 pick doesn't work because you almost have to pay Milwaukee to get off of Paul George's contract.
I don't think Philly generally has it to get in the Giannis suite. I don't think. I think they don't have the stuff to get in that. It just
Embiid
doesn't
in
feel
number
them.
3. What is
Like,
Milwaukee
but
just say? We're not interested in Embiid. We don't want to be in that business.
yeah, I mean, if you're Milwaukee, I think even just from if I'm thinking about this from like John Horst in that front office having to explain what they're doing and like pivoting off of Giannis, and like I think there's a way that this is like mutually done where like it sings like the fans can kind of maybe hopefully understand it if you're the Bucks. The Bucks organization is always going to be, I think, probably come out as the bad guy in this. I think there's no question about that. But I think if your pivot is like, hey, we have Embiid and we also have Damian Lillard on this mega contract, and like that's our plan for the immediate future. It's like but even if it's a third pick, it's just like I don't think that is a tenable thing to get people excited about. I don't think if I was in our organization, I'm thrilled about Joe Embiid and managing his injury situation, which I would almost want to do like have like three different doctors do physicals if I were to trade for Joel Embiid if I were them.
So you're not into Embiid coming off of this injured season,
No.
Damian Lillard coming off of an Achilles, and Kyle Kuzma carrying the team when those guys are out. Not into it.
Yeah, and like you sent me a really great story from Eric Nem, who is at the Athletic, one of the best beat reporters I think in the business, covers the Bucks for the Athletic. He was listing out like this isn't like a trade there, it's just like the reality situation. He was listing out like their exciting young guys, and it's like
Yeah,
Kevin
the
Porter
whole point,
Jr.,
the purpose of the
Ryan,
story was,
yeah,
hey, here's Milwaukee's front office's pitch to Giannis to keep him here, and essentially the pitch came down to we can resign our own guys, and
and the
that's
three
it.
of the guys it's Kevin Porter Jr., Ryan Rollins, Gary Trent Jr., who was like they got on the cheap last summer, like because the
Right.
market for him didn't
But now
exist.
we could sign. Now we could pay him $14 million
And
a
it's
year
like
the rest
now
of the
it's
season.
like so it's like how are you that isn't the pivot I wanted from the Bucks. Like
Mhm.
if I'm the Bucks, the number 3 pick is great. I would have to love one of those guys to have it supersede of more assets from let's say Houston or even the 2 and 4. I would like even if it was like
Can
San
I return the
Antonio
Philly
teams.
pick? The
Yeah,
Philly, the
please.
Philly package, rather.
Yeah.
The number 3 pick with Maxi. Does that
Is
not work?
Philly
If you're Philly, do you have to move Embiid and in order to acquire Giannis because those guys just don't work together? I would
yeah.
think
And
yes,
Max is
probably, but
also
could
the
you move
only
Embiid in a separate deal?
but Matt yeah, but like then I think if you trade Embiid in a separate deal, I think you have to attach other stuff to him.
Right.
And Maxi is also like a guy I want to be in business with because he's younger, he's good, and he's like been pretty physically sturdy so far.
Yep. And
And it's like it's
McCain
just like if you
McCain at number
just
3 isn't enough to get it done. All right. So
no,
moving on from Philly.
yeah.
Number then
I
the
don't
other
know what I do. You even have an idea of like who Philly should be calling about on this note?
should they be
Like I
calling about
don't.
should they be calling about anybody? I think you just take
It's a
the
good
player
question.
here.
Yeah, it's I.
You have Maxey and McCain. Take a player here. Wait
You have
out
a
the Paul
Shelley.
George and Embiid stuff, and suddenly things look a little bit better.
It's probably the path. Yeah.
Yeah. And then maybe maybe Embiid bounces back and he's healthy and you're deep and you've got, you can re-sign Quentin Grimes. Like I'm not, I fall for the Philadelphia thing every year. So I'll do it again next year.
I picked them to make the to win the fucking title this year, so I obviously did. I'm
Charlotte
doing
at
great.
4.
Yeah.
Do they call about Giannis? I mean, everybody's gonna call about Giannis. Um, LaMelo and 4.
Can I flip this the other way around you? Who's the team? Who's what pick should they be? What team in the lottery should they be calling to say we'll trade you? We'll take your pick, and you take Lamelo.
Say that again. Rephrase that.
If you're Charlotte at 4, and you're saying who is the what is the best pick in this draft in the lottery we could get for Lamelo?
To move down.
No, just to have someone get in second pick, and the other team gets
Oh, you
Lamelo
2
instead of
lottery
the lottery
picks.
pick. Yeah, you just full reset. We get out of the Lamelo business. It's Brandon Miller's team. 2 picks this year. We go ahead. Like is could you take like that salary back from Toronto and Lamelo goes for 9? Like RJ Barrett and stuff for 9 for Lamelo?
Would Brooklyn do it at 8? Cam Johnson and 8 for LaMelo?
I'm gonna text a Nets fan right now and we'll see what he says. Let's see if he wants. Let's see what he says.
Could you get Lonzo Ball and 12?
Yeah,
I
I
don't
the
hate that trade.
Bull should do it.
I actually don't hate it for either team. Um, yeah, something like that, maybe. But yeah, if you're Charlotte, I don't know. So yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. But then after that, it's done. I mean, yeah. None after number 4, none of these picks are worth Giannis, probably.
I mean, we're definitely. I mean, I think the Jazz are very happy to be into another year of being absolutely dreadful and purposefully dreadful to like get AJ to Bansa in a year.
Yeah, I mean that would be the plan, right? So, but
They're
yes, you're
going to
not
be
packaging
unlocking.
5. If anything,
No.
this means that Larry Markkinen is probably available this summer too.
Ooh, would you do 2 for marketing or would you do like 14 and stuff for marketing? I would do like 14 and stuff for marketing, I think, if I'm
Oh, for
San
San
Antonio.
Antonio? Yeah, take the
Yeah.
number draft somebody at 2 and then send 14 and Harrison
And
Barnes or something to
yeah, and like maybe like another future protected pick or something.
yeah.
I'd do that.
Mhm.
Jazz are immediately on the bottom. Like if you're doing league pass rankings, they're immediately number 30 for me. Like after this, just locked in at 30 in pen
Yep.
for next year. Done. Um, Washington obviously has no business trying to trade for Giannis with the 6th pick. I also just like don't. They're. I think they should just take like culture guy and like good guy. Like that's just what it feels like they need more than
Zion
anything.
at number 7, you got the Pelicans.
Yeah.
Zion and 7, Pelicans fans will throw that into the trade machine and try to get Giannis. That's not going to be enough. I I don't think any team outside of the top 4 can use the pick as the main carrot. And I don't know that Zion is enough as a main carrot either. Maybe there's more stuff that New Orleans can throw in. I mean, New Orleans does have. Did New Orleans move up? Technically, they did, right?
No, no, they dropped 3 spots.
They dropped 3 spots. Oh, so it was bad for them. Okay, so
So
they come
here's
out as losers.
to run it through. Dallas jumped 10 spots. San Antonio jumped 6. Philly jumped 2. Charlotte dropped 1. Utah dropped 4. Washington dropped 4, and New Orleans dropped 3, and Brooklyn dropped 2.
Right. Um. All
Well,
right.
Houston.
So
Let me ask about the Houston part of this. 10, and then like a shit ton of other picks. I think that's their hope that that's the best case for Giannis, right? It's like Jalen Green, um, one of the other young guys. Pick whoever you want. Like I'm asking for Reed Shepard. I think if I'm Milwaukee,
mhm.
10, and then a bunch of other future picks. I think that's what I'm asking for.
Yeah, I don't think Houston's package changes off of lottery. Yeah, 9 and
No.
10. nobody. It's not going to make a
They
difference in
they
Milwaukee's
they
eyes.
needed the jump to really like elevate this package to like no one can beat this territory. I think.
They could probably still do the thing where nobody beats it, but had they moved all the way into the top 4, now we're talking about, do we even need to include Reed Shepherd?
Right.
It's here's the top 4 pick, and like they could have gotten Giannis and kept most of their main guys, if not all of them. I think this is a good point to pivot into the Giannis part of this
Yes.
because what does he want, and how much does that matter? So Giannis is he can become a free agent in 2027. So there's a little bit of leverage here, but not a ton, right? This is not a guy who's going to be a free agent next summer where he could do the thing where he says, trade for me, it's fine. I'm not signing with you long term. So, you're gonna lose me for nothing. He doesn't really have that kind of leverage, but he can walk away in 2 years. At the same time, it's Giannis. He's still one of the best 3 players in the league. He's going to finish 3rd in MVP. He's the rare player who is a perennial MVP candidate, not an MVP ballot guy, a perennial MVP candidate to win the whole thing. And if he's on a better
Yeah.
team, he probably wins another one. Um, so if you're another team and you're not sure if Giannis is going to sign with you long term, I don't know that I care if I think it opens my window for 2 years. If I think I can get Giannis for 2 years and potentially win a championship in those 2 years, I trade for him. And I don't even worry about him re-signing in a couple of years. I just say we could still win a championship in 2 years. That's what we do this whole thing for.
Yeah.
So I say that to point this out. Everybody's got, oh, Houston, they've got all this stuff. San Antonio, they got all this stuff for Giannis. Does Giannis want to play there? And how much does that matter ultimately?
Yeah.
I think from a basketball perspective, people like you and I say, "Oh wow, Houston is such a great fit. They need that Giannis type. They need that number one guy, and he fits and all these things." My thing is, I don't know that Giannis is going to look at it that way. I don't know that he doesn't, but I also don't know that he's for sure looking at the basketball situation and saying, I'm the thing that completes them. I don't know that Giannis is thinking that way after being the guy who lifted Milwaukee these last few years. He might be looking at a situation wondering, how do they complete me? And again, from a basketball standpoint, we could say great defense. They've got a bunch of guys that could fit around Giannis. Length, it would be terrifying defensively. They could do amazing things. Giannis solves so many of their offensive problems, all these things. But you just don't really see star players looking at teams like that and saying, I'm going to go there. A star player is usually looking for a co-star when they're moving teams. And there's nobody on that Rockets roster, I don't think, that Giannis would look at and say, that's a co-star
No.
worthy of me doing the thing that I have been trying not to do this whole time, which was leave Milwaukee. I don't know that
If we're
I'm
looking,
going to do
yeah,
that thing and upend my whole career to go to Houston.
you are looking at like if you're looking at it from like a pure like what has this guy done in the league that I'm trying to do kind of thing. The only guy on that roster that has won a title is Van Vliet.
Right. And love Fred VanVleet.
But yeah,
Stars
like
aren't
that.
flocking to play with Fred VanVleet.
No, they're
And
excited
you
if
might
he's
even have to
there.
include him in a Giannis deal just because of
Right.
the numbers.
You're excited if he's there, if he's like another guy on your team. But if that's like the only other guy that you know has accomplished exactly what you want to accomplish again in your career, that's a hard sell. Fox to the point about like guys wanting to go certain places, want to play with other stars. De'Aaron Fox is almost like the anomaly of this because he picked a star who was like really just starting out and hadn't fully proven the thing yet. But he's like, that's on occasions like that's where he wanted to go.
Yeah, he's
That's
from
pretty
there and
rare.
stuff. He's from the
Yeah, but
area.
the Wembenyama like thing is a pretty rare thing as far as like that's the kind of guy you target.
Right.
It's why like with the Giannis thing, it's like the Sham story is notable and like what it tells us is to coming in what's like out for. It does not tell us. It did not tell us a single thing about what Giannis actually wants.
Right.
Does a big market matter to him? What kind of player does he want to play with? Right? Like I think we kind of understand how Giannis wants to play. Not every situation you can end up in is going to be that way. Again, I think the market question is interesting to me because he's been really happy in Milwaukee, very loyal to Milwaukee. But is he like, hey, like I'd like to actually, if I trade Milwaukee for San Antonio, is that what will satisfy him at this point in his career in his life? Does he want to play in a mega media market? Like, is that a thing that matters to him? We don't know anything about what he actually wants, other than he's actually openly thinking about is this the best fit for me now for the first time? I think like the last time I can remember this story being a thing was when they lost in the playoffs. Like I think the year before they won the title, and Malik Andrews had like that story out that was like there's like a question like right away after the season. That's the last or the New York Times story. Like this is like, but this is the first time it feels like it might be heading somewhere real. To your point,
Yeah, and I don't know that everybody keeps, oh well, he's comes from humble beginnings, maybe he doesn't care about a big city and all these things. I kind of find that ridiculous. I I I don't have any reason to believe that he wouldn't just want to go to the places that all these star places go, big cities,
yeah.
big markets. There was also the Marin Fader anecdote kind of making the rounds on social media about how Giannis used to how frugal Giannis is and still is, and the fact that he would count something every time he would leave his house in Greece to make sure that he still had it when he came back, and the idea of living in a state with no state income tax might be appealing to him. And there was that report out there. Again, I have no idea how true any of this stuff is, but when we're talking about no state income tax, big markets, all these things, we're not talking about anything different than any other star every time one of these stars become available in terms of the talking points of what they might be looking for in a potential list of preferred destinations. They all like the big cities. They all talk about the no state income tax cities at some point. It's to me, if I was going to make a prediction here, I don't think Giannis ends up in Houston, even though that tends to be the betting favorite. I don't see a reason why. To me, Ime Udoka would be the draw. I don't think he's a big enough draw for star players. Coaches just generally aren't. Um, and I don't know that he looks at Houston and says that's where I'm going to upend my whole career to make sure I get to Houston. I think he probably tries to make his way to one of the big markets. But that leads us back to how much does Milwaukee owe Giannis to try to get him where he wants to go? How much does any of this stuff matter? But if one of these markets could put up a comparable offer to what Houston can do, then maybe Milwaukee just says, okay, maybe we like Houston's offer 10% more, but we can save face with the rest of the league. We can save face with Giannis, and we'll do the right thing by our franchise player and send him to where he wants to go. And we still feel pretty good about this package coming back. I don't know.
I mean, the wild card here, I think, is kind of really to all this West, which is I think if let's just say the Oklahoma City Thunder lose to Denver, lose in the Western Conference Finals,
Hmm.
that's the best offer.
Right.
It's a great basketball fit for Giannis, I think.
It
It's a
is,
team that
and
can
then
win a
if you're
title.
Milwaukee, you're getting Chet or Jalen
It's
Williams presumably back, and that's a great
I,
point to be to jumpstart the rebuild.
but again, is that what Giannis wants?
Right. That
But
would
that,
be
but
that would be a little bit different to me if I'm honest, because okay, I can go play with Shea. That guy just won
yeah,
MVP.
yeah,
That's something like now I can go win championships with that.
yeah.
I don't know that Giannis looks
Giannis.
at Houston and says I can win championships there. If
I
he's
mean,
going to get traded to Oklahoma City, yeah, obviously that makes them the favorites in the NBA.
I was thinking about this when I thought Denver was going to win Game 4 of their series, and before the story came out west, and I got really excited about the idea next year of a Shea, Dort, Caruso, Giannis, Holmgren lineup. It's like
Yeah.
who the f is scoring on that,
Right.
and it's also going to score. Like I think they like the spacing's a little tight, but I think you figure it out.
Hmm.
And like a Giannis Shea pick and roll with like Chet as like the close spacer is like okay, I'm kind of in on this. And like Chet learning from like and if I'm saying Presti, if I don't win it this year, I'm doing something. I'm probably gonna. I personally would get really impatient with all my stuff and probably do something a little crazy.
You would have to, right? I mean, I don't know. Is if you don't make the finals, I would say
Yeah,
we're gonna start putting stuff on the table. If you make the finals, it's a little bit different. But
unless you get like dusted, and which I don't think they would if they get there. But
yeah. Any other
they're
Giannis
the
landing spots? I mean, do we want to talk about the New
okay.
Yorks, the LAs?
I think the Clippers always should probably be in there. I don't think the Lakers just have the stuff. I just don't see them as a real thing.
It's an Austin Reeves package, I guess, with
But like it's
Rui
Reeves and
and one
Connect and
first
like
round pick.
so it's just that's not enough. That and
Could you
that's
move?
that
Is Reeves good enough to move to a third team to get real assets back?
depends on the team. I think maybe could you get stuff from Orlando for him?
You're not getting Paolo or Franz or Reeves.
No, but you're getting like a first and a protected first because they just need like a ball handler and like really bad.
Yeah, and I don't know that that's
So
getting into the
I don't
Giannis
think the
business.
Lakers. I don't think the Lakers are real. They're gonna again. They're gonna. I maintain they're getting someone stupid this summer.
Yeah.
But
No, I think you're right. Brooklyn, not
I
getting
just
one
don't
of
know
these top
why.
4 picks took a loss, but they still have a lot of picks, and they have a diverse assortment of picks from different teams, which could be appealing,
They also,
because
I
you're
think,
able to
need to go get
short
a.
separate,
They have to get a. They have to get a second star. I think is the problem for me there.
Julius Randle.
Yeah, Giannis and Julius Randle's doing a lot, real well. That's to be clear. Randle's been amazing for the Wolves. A Randle Giannis pairing is just like that. Just screams six seed.
It's, uh, it's Giannis and Bobby Portis on steroids. Um,
Yeah,
the
that's what it
Knicks,
is. I think the
it
Knicks. I think the Knicks. I honestly kind of think the Knicks should do it. I don't know. I don't know like what the trade exactly is, but I would.
it's
I
Cat
would
and
really do
Bridges.
it. Could you do it without Cat? Is really my thing because like
No,
I kind of want to.
I
Okay.
shut it down. If I'm the Bucks, I say, "No, I need Cat." Absolutely not.
Because the Cat Giannis Brunson thing is the super appeal to me there.
Okay, so OG's in the deal?
Yeah, I would do OG. I would rather yeah, and then
Interesting.
the Bucks can move those other guys around for younger stuff if they want to. I think
So
because
OG,
I want
Bridges.
this. I want the spacing five next to Giannis because then I have the spacing. Giannis can like play the four, doesn't play the five full time. You're less dependent on Mitchell Robinson as a front
Mm.
court guy, and you can like have do the Giannis roaming thing that he wants to do, and Cat can like be the guy bodying the initial guy in the post. Like you kind of have the structure. It also just makes you less heliocentric on Brunson. It gives Brunson like more outlets to like pass the damn ball, which I think is a needed evolution for that team.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't know if you're Milwaukee, how you accept it without Cat. It's like, I like Bridges and OG are fine. I'm trading Giannis, dude. Like, Cat's an all NBA type player. I'm not getting anything even close to that back. I like Bridges. I like Anunoby fine. There's that's a pretty big drop off between Cat and those guys.
And
Um,
the Knicks obviously don't have picks to trade.
right. So, uh, Miami, I don't know what that looks like. Tyler Hero from the Milwaukee area. I don't know that the Bucks care. Um,
Didn't he like piss off a lot of people because he went to Kentucky instead of Wisconsin?
he did. I don't know how plugged in John Horst is into the high school and college scouting scene,
Sure.
or even the casual Bucks fan. I don't know how plugged in they are to that, but or how much they hold a grudge even. But yeah, the big conversation in Miami would be, do we include Bam? Because
And
that's
again,
something that could swing it. Bam could be the best player right now, maybe not the best prospect. He doesn't like, Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, you could argue have higher ceilings than Bam, but is Bam the best player right now that could be included in a Giannis deal in a market where Giannis would theoretically want to play? That to me is interesting because Miami then has 3 tradable first round picks, and then they have the Duncan Robinson contract, which is 50% guaranteed, and you just don't see a lot of 50% guaranteed contracts anymore. For a Bucks team dealing with luxury tax concerns, that means something. You can get Duncan Robinson, waive him, and save $10 million plus the multipliers for luxury taxes, even more than that. That could be interesting. Bam plus Duncan and 3 first round picks, and then they can throw in a Kalel Ware or a Nikola Jovic or both of them or whatever, whatever Milwaukee wants at that point, I guess. And then if you're Miami, you're saying, well, we've got Giannis, we've got Tyler Hero, and we've got some other stuff. I don't know. I guess that's the meeting that's happening in the Heat's front office.
here, this is how I'll transition this to our last topic. And this is not a real trade, but I'm gonna make the pitch. Really
Okay,
excited for this. Been working on this one all day.
let's do it.
Okay, number one, Cleveland big Greek population.
Didn't know that.
Okay,
Fun fact.
huge. Giannis, the Giannis fan show up stuff when he plays in Cleveland is unreal. Darius Garland, Okoro, and Jalen Tyson, and every pick you can offer. Trade Jared Allen for picks on the side to get more stuff for Giannis, and it's Mitchell, Mobley, and Giannis.
Okay, can I ask you the question that I was thinking about today, which you probably
Yeah,
didn't even
please.
want to think about
No,
this?
I'm here for full Cavs despair, Wes. I'm ready to. They are soft like soft serve. That is the only way I can describe them after that game. That absolutely dreadful, soft, weak game four performance. An absolutely that was embarrassing. Like a shameful performance, frankly.
Are you including Evan Mobley in a trade if you're getting Giannis?
Probably not. But if I don't, it depends on what the rest. I think it's one of those. I don't think you want to, because I think if you lose him and Allen and like all that in
No,
one, it's
keep
kind of
Allen.
like
Keep Allen.
maybe.
You're trading Mobley. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what the rest of the package looks like. You're right. But if you keep Jared Allen and you're keeping Donovan Mitchell, and now you have a big three of Mitchell, Giannis, and I guess Jared. We don't even have to call it a big three. You have a big
It's a
two of
big
Donovan
two.
Mitchell and Giannis.
Allen has kind of played him based on his last couple playoffs. Has not played himself into like that's a guy I feel great about in my big three marketing campaign. I this is really the point I want to make here about this Cavs team and where they're at. I don't necessarily think they're going to be a team that does something drastic this summer. I don't. They could have last summer and they didn't. Their big move was getting Kenny Atkinson, which has really paid off, and I think he's quite good. I also just look at how they lost in Game Four on two fronts. Number one, you know this is a big game. Everyone and their mother knows how big of a game this is going to be,
Mhm.
and you're down early, big in a way that like you didn't even really show up. Secondly, Benedict Mathurin literally punches DeAndre Hunter in the sternum and like shoved him. And that was the most fight they showed the entire game. That didn't like rev them up to be like, all right, we gotta come hard now. They try to punk us and you just kind of flail around. And I know Donovan Mitchell missed the whole second half with an injury. I'm aware of that. But like there was literally no juice from anyone on that team. It took me back to the Knicks series from a couple years ago when they got really punked in that series as well with a similar group. I don't know what to do with that, West, because like obviously there's a great regular season, really good team, dusted Miami in round one. They've just been like out toughed in a way in the series and out competed in a way that I think is really alarming for what their ceiling is. Like, and I think they're in a position next year. I'm not the first to make this point um, on a podcast, but like now they're in a spot where like unless they come back, which I don't think they're going to do, nothing they should do in the regular season should really matter that much until we actually see them like act like a real team in the playoffs and do something real. And it's about Garland, it's about Allen, it's about Mobley. I don't really put Mitchell in that category for better or worse. I don't really think he's this reflects in the way on him fully. I think it reflects on everyone else more than it does on him.
But you don't think that they'll overreact if they lose?
It has not been their track record under Kobe Altman to overreact.
Would
It
it
has not
be?
been.
Would you qualify it as overreacting? Because based on the way you're talking, it doesn't really sound like it would be.
I mean, Giannis is a different thing. It's like if it's just like trade Jared Allen just to do it, or like trade Darius Garland just to do it, I think that's overreacting.
Mhm.
I think if you can get Giannis,
That's not an overreaction,
that's just like we got Giannis. Like
right? That would be
We
it
gave
would be
Donovan Mitchell
the
someone better
Warriors
than
trading
him.
Harrison Barnes. They didn't overreact to losing in the finals.
Yeah,
They went and got
they
Kevin
just got
Durant.
better. They went and got
Yeah.
better. And Giannis, yeah, like Giannis is also the kind of guy, like mentality wise, that I kind of like. It's like if there's one thing missing here, it's like sort of the mentality thing, and it's like Giannis. I don't. Giannis wouldn't like react the way I think the Cavs did here. You know, I mean, I ask you? You watching this as a neutral? Did am I overreacting to like how they looked in Game Four and how they're down 3-1 in the series? Am I overreacting just what it seems like they're showing us from a mentality perspective?
The Warriors lost by like 30 something points to the Grizzlies in 2022 and then won the championship. I don't know with today's three-point shooting and all this stuff. I'm just not that surprised by almost any score anymore.
Mm,
I losing in the second round would be tough. Like Cleveland, we discussed this. The minimum was make it to the conference finals. Um, I still think this team is really awesome. I still don't know how much the injuries have drained this team. They also went really cold while Indiana is shooting 41% from three, which is 5 percentage points higher than their regular season average.
Yeah.
I just with the 3-point shooting the way it is, man, I don't know anymore. I don't know what's an overreaction or what's just a sample size variance thing. I don't know. To your point, you can't be happy with how you played, but we've seen like those Warriors quit against the Grizzlies, and I said back then, this team's not going to win the championship. Championship teams don't quit that way, and then they went and won the freaking championship. So I don't know. Now the Warriors weren't down 3-1 at the time, so that's different.
Also,
But
Steve Kerr is the coach, and Draymond Green in the locker room.
yeah, I think you could look at Cleveland and say, yeah, we need somebody to come into this locker room and be a little bit more of a leader or whatever. And Donovan Mitchell is our rock, but do we need a little bit of fire in here? I could see that maybe being something that this team goes after in the offseason. I don't think that would qualify as an overreaction though if they were to do that. Um, I also think this Pacers team is just really freaking good.
They're
And
really good, and
if you lose
they're
to
a
the
bad matchup
Pacers
for the
just in
Cavs.
general, yeah, if you lose to the Pacers in general, I don't think that necessitates some sort of overreaction. I don't think that is I think the Pacers are really good. Losing to them does not necessitate a look in the mirror necessarily, to the degree that that would lead to major changes.
What I think it's just what, frankly, it maybe just scares me in the immediate West is just that, like, I think, like, showing up for, like, a really big game, like, just there was no urgency. I think that's what I think scares me. I think that's more than any basketball thing. I think that's kinda what freaks me out if I'm just looking at it from that, like, one lens. It's just, this is a game you need to win even the series. Again, you literally got punched in the game,
Mhm.
and, like, that didn't spark you, and, like, whatever that is, I don't know how to quantify that. I don't we will never know, right? Like, we will never know what is going on in the heads. We can ask the media can ask the questions, all of that. We'll never know, but it's just like that I think is what, like, that ethereal thing I cannot quantify. To your point about the three-point shooting, all of that, like, the Pacers have run really, really hot. The Cavs have had a bad free throw series, and they've been poor from three. Ty Jerome has cost himself a ton of money in the series alone. Like, it's been really, really bad Ty Jerome run.
Yeah, but
That
Tyler Jerome's way better than this too, so I don't know. I I just it's tough, man. Like to me, what does the next game look like for Cleveland? If you come out and lay an egg in literally the last game of your season, we can have this conversation again.
even if Mitchell is hurt, I think it's because, like, we don't know if he's gonna play or not on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And it's not worth, and if it is like an ankle calf thing with him, I probably wouldn't risk it if I'm being honest.
The other part of this too is that Boston's probably gonna have to move one or two pieces. And would you kick yourself if you made some sort of overreaction trade this summer that depleted the roster, where maybe all along next year was the year?
I think that's the realistic path. I think that's a level-headed path, and I think if I understand how this front office is operated, I think that's what they would do. It's like you
The
run it
great
back
thing is
next
that Donovan
year.
Mitchell signed the extension, so
Yeah,
it bought you time.
you probably see something on the edges. Like, what do you do with Jerome? Do you dump Okoro somewhere? Because, like, Mobley is going to make more money. Like, there's some tax things. But I would guess they just run it back next year. And I'm like waiting. This is like the number one draft pick in a team where they come to the end of the playoffs
Mhm.
and they tell us that Hunter, Garland, and Mobley and or Mitchell all were more hurt than, like, we knew. Like, it doesn't
Right.
excuse it fully, but I'm just waiting for them to be like, actually, Darius, like, probably needed a month off because of the toe.
Right.
Windy hinted at that, and then he played in game 3 and was okay. So it kinda, like, went away, but I'm waiting for him to be like, "Yeah, like, actually, like, he wasn't right." And look, to your point, Indiana is too good for that for you to be less than your best, I think. I think that's
Mhm.
really what we're learning here is that Indiana is pretty damn good and just feisty. I mean, they're gonna if we get Celtics or Knicks, I think the Celtics are up right now as we're recording this.
Yeah, by 5.
They're up by 5. They're up by, 55-47, ESPN says. Um they're going to play one of those teams really, really, really tough. Like,
Mhm.
that's just the reality. Sure, I should scale of 1 to 10, how much dread should I be feeling today, Wes? So 1 on that. How much dread should I be feeling?
Well, if you were hoping for the Cavs to win the championship, then I guess like
They're
7
not,
or an
and
8.
they're not going to. I think they're losing this. This feels like they're gonna win game 5, lose game 6 to
I'm
me.
gonna say that I'm gonna also I don't think they're dead yet. I think they're really close. I wouldn't rule out them coming back. Look, they've got game 5 in Cleveland. You win that, you extend the series. They've already won once in Indiana. They proved that they could do it. And that at that point, you've got a 3-game break between game 6 and game 7.
Mm,
And if that benefits any team in this series, it's obviously Cleveland with their injuries. I'm
alright.
not saying they're dead yet. I'm not ruling it out.
Okay. You've instilled some hope in me going forward, Wes. That's gonna be for the Just Basketball Show. Back later this week. More playoff reactions. A lot of important basketball to come between now and then, all across the series, and maybe we'll get some more information on Giannis and other trade market information for what
I have a
feels like
feeling
a
we'll be
very
talking
busy
about
summer
him
ahead.
more over the next couple months.
Maybe we should have asked this before, but Wes, true or false? He's traded before or at the draft?
Before or at the draft?
Yeah, true. Like, does he get traded before or like on draft night?
I like this. I'm gonna say that we know by draft night we'll know where Giannis is playing next year, even if the deal is not officially consummated.
I agree. I think this feels like a month. This is like a month sprint to figure out where he's
I
going.
think we're
I
gonna know
think
the
we're
same thing about Kevin Durant, by the way, too. I think we're gonna
yeah.
have
I
some
agree.
early movement on this. Yeah.
I agree. I think draft through like being a free because free agency this year is not going to be good. I think trade stuff's going to get aggressive fast. It feels like, and I still think there's one or two shockers we're just not seeing coming. I think I'm just conditioned to expect things that aren't in the ether fully.
Yep.
Whether it's Zion, whether it's Ja, whether it's like I'm expecting something. But hopefully get some more nuggets come Thursday. Back with Just Basketball Show. Have a great week, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.